Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon here on YouTube, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, Psychology Today will pop up, click on that, and it will have qualified therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. Okay. All right, so really good questions today. So let me start with the first one. So somebody again asked about sexual shaming that narcissistic parents do or abusive parents do. And the big question was, what the hell? So, okay, sexual shaming. So why are narcissistic or abusive parents so weird? I mean, like weird about their teenage children exploring sex? What is up with that? Okay, so what it is, it's a power and control issue. They cannot stand the idea of the child, who is an extension of them, having intimacy with somebody else that might have influence over them. So really, when it comes down to it, the parent is pissed off that the child is expressing themselves in an individualistic fashion. So think about it. It's like if you're an extension of them and it's all about power and control, and you slip away from them and are having sexual relations with your boyfriend or girlfriend, right? They're going to come unglued because they can't control that unless they lock you in your room. So since they can't lock you in your room, they are going to sexually shame you. Oh, you're a slut, you're a whore, you're a player, you're, whatever they tell guys, it's like they do the whole thing, and they use the religious stuff quite often. So they'll, you should be a virgin until you're married, etc., etc. So, they do all of that, and it really is based in they want to control. And or if they're really messed up and they've got sexual feelings for the son or the daughter, they are jealous and they are pissed that the son or the daughter is having sexual relations with somebody that's not them. I know, it sounds crazy, it sounds sick, it sounds weird, and that's exactly what they are. So they're crazy, they're sick, and they're weird. So when the teenager, starts exploring sexuality, and if that parent has got weird issues with their mom and dad or whatever, and they've never resolved them, they're going to start shaming the kid because they're pissed that the child is having sex with somebody that's not them, or they are pissed that the child is having sex with somebody that might have influence over the child, because now the narcissist has no control, and the kid is going to be more interested in what the boyfriend or girlfriend says and does than what the parent does. It's kind of the way in a healthy, normal family, in bunny ears, the parents are talking about sex with the kids. It is a normal progression of development. You educate your children on birth control. You educate them on healthy relationships. You educate them on, respecting yourself, respecting your body. And when the child does choose to have sexual relations with their, boyfriend or girlfriend when they're a teenager, older teenager, like usually 15, 16, 17, that's usually when the hormones are like, whoa! Hopefully in a healthy relationship, that kid is going to feel safe enough and comfortable enough to come to you and say, hey, I'm feeling all these feelings. And then you have that conversation again about protection and safety and, respect and all of that stuff. And, and then it goes from there. And that's in a healthy, normal family. In an abnormal family, sex is never discussed. Ever. And if it is discussed, it is really this weird, how do I explain it? It's like this sick and twisted version of it. It's like it's dirty. It's like a dirty little secret that just shouldn't be talked about. And I'm like, if we all talked about it more and educated everybody on it, there'd be a hell of a lot less unwanted pregnancies, etc., STDs, etc., etc., etc. So, but the narcissist wants to be in control of everything. And if they've got a weird, twisted version of who you are in the relationship. So remember, in really dysfunctional families, you not only have a second mom, second dad, you have a second husband, second wife. So they turn one of the kids into their object of desire. So, and I talk about that in my book, What's Wrong with Your Dad? My dad was crazy. I mean, he romantically pursued my older sister, which is nuts. And when I moved out of the house and got my own apartment, he cornered me in the laundry room and said, "You're a dirty little slut. You're a dirty little whore. You're this, you're that." And that's when I finally had it. And I stood up to him and I said, "Look, motherfucker, none of your fucking business, but I'm still a goddamn virgin. So fuck you, you know." And I let him have it. And then he backed down. I mean, it was weird. I could watch it. It was weird. It was like you could see him go from ha 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 to what? And then, and then he got really quiet and I thought, oh, here it comes. I'm going to get the, frying pan hands. He didn't. He backed off. And because I think he knew, there was a part of him that knew I was done. Like, done. Like, go ahead, cut me out, write me out of the will. I don't give a fuck. I'm sick of your shit, So, yeah. And I that was a question for me too, because somebody had written in and said, I don't understand. Why was I sexually shamed? Why did they make such a big deal about me having sex with my boyfriend? It's because of their weirdness. My dad, because he didn't see us as people, we had no more meaning than this pin. So what they do is, all the attention has to be on them. And sexually speaking, we belong to them in their minds because they're cray-cray, okay? So, and this is why you have like the Jim Joneses and the David Koresh's and the Nexium creep that feel like they own all of the people sexually around them. That is part of the absolute dysfunction of narcissism, you bet. So yeah, so he felt like he had a right to know what I was doing sexually, even though I wasn't doing anything because I was so fucking terrified because of these two people. Hello. Anyway, but then eventually that rectified itself. But anyway, the point being is that, at the time it was like, what the fuck, asshole? None of your fucking business. I'm an adult. I'm 18. I'm an adult. You don't need to know, but no boundaries. Remember, no boundaries. And then they will shame. They will shame because now they don't own you. Now they're not the first. That was another weirdness, that I hear from other clients that incestuous parents have done. Oh, I need to be the first. I need to be the one who teaches you. It's like, I'm sorry, you're the mother, you're the father. What the actual fuck? Jesus Christ. So yeah, they're just really cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So they're pissed because they don't own us. They didn't get to be the first. We're not in love with them. We are in love with our boyfriends or our girlfriends or whatever. So that is why they sexually shame us, because they don't have a healthy view of sex. Sex is a beautiful act that is grown out of love, respect. That's the best. That's when it's the best, It can also be grown out of, geez Louise, I'm 16 years old and I've got a shit ton of hormones. But that's where the education comes in and the responsibility and the, teaching and the whole thing like that. So yeah, we got sexually shamed when we had healthy, normal sexual relations with a boyfriend or girlfriend because they couldn't control us, because they couldn't be the first, because they couldn't, because we were no longer a possibility, or we were no longer, a virgin, or whatever the fuck that means. So, I know what it means, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, why? Why do you care? Why? There's a lot of other things going on in the world. Why do you care? You know what I'm saying? It just, So yeah, that's it. They've just got a sick and twisted view of sex. Sex to them is a means to an end. Sex to them is narcissistic supply. And like I said, when we express ourselves sexually and they start shaming us, it's because they're afraid. They're afraid that we are going to come into our full power. They are afraid, male and female, they are afraid that we are going to leave them for the boyfriend, for the girlfriend, for whatever. So yeah, it's born of fear on their part, but it's because they want to control and they want to have all of the focus on them and they want to be the centerpiece of your life. So, and it's sexually, and it's sick. And yeah, they do that. So if you want more information on that, pick up my book, What's Wrong with Your Dad, available on Kindle. Also available, I read it. So I do the reading on Audible. So that's me reading it because I don't like other people reading my stuff. So there we go. Yeah, so you can get that and you can read that read that, because that's exactly what my dad did to me too. And my mom kind of joined in on that. There was a little bit of mobbing going on with that. And the enablers will do that. They'll join in on it. And the excuse for them was the religious stuff. Well, the excuse for Jim Jones was also religious stuff. The excuse for David Koresh, religious stuff. So they're communal. They're communal. Communal narcissists are the ones that usually do that. They usually use the religion as the excuse or the reason to shame. Or they, oh, well, society. Well, society doesn't give two flying rats' asses. I'm sorry, they don't care. So what they do care, what society should care about, is everybody being educated so that it is done respectfully, both to the person that's initiating and the one that, is saying yes, and, so that there's no STDs, no pregnancies. Education, guys. This is the thing that cracks me up. When I was in high school, we were supposed to get sex education, right? Well, of course, all of the religious nuts had a fit. No. If you educate them on sex, they're going to have sex. I'm sorry, they were going to have sex anyway. Hate to break it to you. But the beautiful or the bad thing of it is that they didn't get educated. So the most vocal one that was like, no, you cannot do sex education, blah, blah, blah. Their daughter was the first one to get pregnant. Yeah. So education is the key. Education is power. It really is. Education is also freedom. Because when you know what you know, rock solid, and a narcissist tries to tell you otherwise, you're able to go, I don't think so. Not today, Satan. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so it's crazy to me how narcissists are obsessed with sex, generally have a sex addiction of some sort, okay, involved in porn, that kind of thing. And yet when their child grows up and has sex with somebody else, they come unglued. Well, again, power and control issue. They're not the center of the universe. They're not the center of the child's life. That person is having an absolute fit. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that answered your question. If it didn't, please IM me. But yeah, I went through something very similar. So do read my book, What's Wrong with Your Dad? Available on Kindle, available on Audible. Because yeah, my dad did the exact same thing. And my mom, like I said, kind of mobbed along, the shame, oh, well, God and religion and this, that, and the other thing. Well, that's my problem. That's between me and Jesus. That's not between you and me and Jesus. That's between me and Jesus. So, all right. I hope that answered the question. Okay, so the next question is, hi, Chris, I'm wondering if you've heard of logophobia, an irrational or disproportionate fear of words. I've developed this after trauma and no one seems to understand it. Well, you need to get with a better trauma therapist. So I did find this on Psych Times. So Psych Times, logophobia is the irrational fear of words. Someone suffering from this condition can expect to experience a high amount of anxiety from merely thinking of words, let alone actually seeing or reading them. In fact, their anxiety may be so intense that they may even endure a full-blown panic attack as a result of it. Okay, I wanted to skip down to, because they describe a panic attack. They may find themselves avoiding that which they fear. They may it may take it to an extreme, ensuring that they cannot be exposed to words in any way, which is not good. They may refuse to read signs or articles, books, etc. Okay. If they have worsening symptoms, they need to find a qualified trauma therapist. Thank you. So a phobia is a fear, an irrational fear. That's all it is. And they develop this. It can come from trauma. It usually is when the child has been made fun of for misspelling or from, stumbling over their words when they're reading, that kind of thing. And I don't blame them. If somebody's shaming you for that, yeah, I'd start hating that too. So what you want to do, they said the causes, they don't know for sure. It can be a family history of anxiety disorders that the kid may have picked up on. Trauma definitely can exacerbate that. There may be a genetic component to it. Again, nature, nurture, a little from column A, a little from column B. They don't know the exact causes of logophobias, but the consensus among most mental health professionals is that both genetics and environmental factors play a very significant role in the development of any given mental disorder. So taking a closer look at these two different parameters may shed some light onto as whether or not you are at risk for developing any sort of phobia. Nature, nurture. Okay, so exposure therapy is one of the tools that they would use. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, meaning you go back through, you figure out, when did this happen? When did this happen? Did this happen in childhood? Did this happen? What was the trauma? What was the trauma about? Who was around? What happened? Etc. EMDR, EFT. Let's see, what else do they say? So yeah, get with a really good trauma therapist. Yoga, they're, helping you. Mindfulness, yep. DBT. So there are psychiatric medications for anxieties. It would be anti-anxiety meds. It's not specific to logophobia. It's for anti-anxiety. Antidepressants may be helpful. It depends on what's going on. You'd have to talk to your doc. Yeah, dialectic behavioral therapy, meditation may help. So that's that. If they don't understand it and they don't know why, and they're not treating it like an anxiety, which it is, then you need to get with a really good trauma therapist and really explain to them. It's like, look, this is my phobia. This is what I need to work on. Do you understand this? Do you have any training in this? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what you want to do. So if they don't understand it, and they can't help you with it, you're with the wrong therapist. It's an anxiety. It's an anxiety. It's like any anxiety disorder. It's like any phobia. It's like agoraphobia, arachnophobia. I don't know why I'm going with the A's here, but you know what I'm saying? So it's a fear. It is an irrational fear, but it is based in something. So nature, nurture, there may be the predisposition to have anxiety already there. The trauma kind of pushed you over the edge. And then that, for some reason, your brain latched onto the word phobia. So it's really important. Get with a good trauma therapist that understands phobias. Interview them. If they're like, oh, I don't know, then fire their ass. Absolutely. You have the right to. If they don't know what they're doing, fire them. And there are a lot of, unfortunately, I've been hearing this from a lot of people recently, is that a lot of therapists just hang their shingle out and go, oh, I do everything. No. Sorry. So yeah, you want to interview them. And I've done videos on that. How do you interview a therapist? What questions should you be asking? What do you need to be looking for? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, you want to definitely interview them. If they don't know trauma therapy, if they don't know how to deal with anxiety disorders, then fire them and find somebody else. Okay. In Arizona, if a person needs counseling but is about to have a messy divorce, can their records be subpoenaed? Yes. Absolutely. So the therapist, however, has the right to say, no, this will be damaging to my client. However, knowing attorneys and knowing judges, they will 9 times out of 10 be like, oh, well, what's in there? Oh, and make up all sorts of shit. So in their heads. Anyway, you can tell I really don't like a lot of the judges in this state. A lot of them are uneducated on mental health. A lot of them, most of them, are uneducated on mental health disorders. A lot of the attorneys don't understand mental health disorders. They especially don't understand the manipulations of a narcissist, or they themselves narcissists, and they side with the narcissist because they recognize themselves in the narcissist. So anyway, yes, your records can be subpoenaed. Absolutely. But the therapist has the discretion to say, no, I'm not releasing these records. Now, here's the thing. When I do my notes, right, I take just little snapshots. Discussed this, gave this intervention, discussed this, gave this intervention. I'm not doing he said this to me and that happened and da-da-da, that whole thing. And I think sometimes that's what the opposing attorney is looking for. They're hoping to prove that you're crazy. So, yeah, your records can be subpoenaed. And, there's really, unless there's a really valid reason, like, okay, so here's one example where I could see not turning over the records. If the ex has threatened you, stalked you, threatened to kill you, threatened to, I could say, no, this is not safe. I am not turning over these records. I do not feel that my client will be safe after turning over these records. And I always talk to the client about it too. It's like, do you feel safe doing this? And then I explain the pros and the cons of, releasing, not releasing, and then I have to explain why they're not being released if we choose not to release them. So, and a lot of therapists, let's face it, a lot of therapists do not have cojones. They're afraid to stand up to the law people. They're afraid to get in trouble with the board. They're afraid of everything else. Your main concern as a therapist is your client's well-being, period. If you all can't stand up for your clients, get the fuck out of my profession. It really pisses me off. It really does. So yeah, they can be subpoenaed. Absolutely. And the opposing attorney will try to use whatever is in the records against you. But here's the deal. The judges generally don't give a fuck. They don't. Unless the child is being harmed or neglected, like they're not being fed, they're not being sheltered, the judges don't care. The judges don't care. So you've got a diagnosis of PTSD. Okay, so what? Is the kid being fed? Yeah. Is the kid being clothed? Yeah. Is the kid being sheltered? Yeah. Okay, what's the problem? That's literally their attitude. So yeah, they do try to use that as evidence, and stuff, but it doesn't get them very far because literally the judges just want the divorce done and off their docket. That's really all they care about. So, yeah, I hope that answered your question. I'm sorry, I kind of went on that because I just get so fed up with the whole system. The whole family court system is foobarred beyond belief, needs to be completely overhauled. Every single attorney, every single judge that does family law must, I think, should, here we go with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, they should be educated in mental health disorders, especially personality disorders, because that is going to be 90% of who comes through family courts. Seriously, if not higher. Seriously. And a lot of these judges are disordered themselves. A lot of the attorneys are disordered themselves, and they will side with the narcissist because they themselves are narcissists and they recognize themselves in the narcissist that's, doing all of the bullshit. So it's a beautiful thing when you can get a judge that can recognize, a personality disorder and be like, yeah, no, you cannot file another bullshit motion. And that's what they do. So when you're dealing with, I'm trying to get my lighting right over here because I got my lights behind me. What the hell? Oh, there we go. Hello. So what's happening is that narcissists will hire other narcissist lawyers, and they will file motion after motion after motion and drag it out because they would rather have a fucked up dysfunctional connection to somebody than no connection at all. So that's what's going on. And that's why you need a good attorney who understands high conflict divorce and understands the system and understands the judges and knows how to work it. So and this is the thing that abusers do, is they try to make it so that the opposing person does not have enough money to get an attorney or to keep an attorney. And it is expensive. Divorces can be ridiculously expensive when you're divorcing a narcissist because they want to maintain control at all costs. And I do mean all costs. They don't care about the kids. They don't care about you. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about anything except their precious little ego. So yeah, sorry, that went way off topic. So yes, your records can be subpoenaed. So that's why you want a therapist that talks to you about this stuff. It's like, if my records get subpoenaed, here's what's going to happen. It's like, I can deny it. I can send the letters explaining why, and then it's up to the judge to say yay or nay. They can force me to release the records. So yeah, there that is. So hope that answered the question. My mom always says I'm a drama queen for speaking the truth. When my dad got sick, she screamed at me for ringing an ambulance and said I was a hypochondriac. What can I do about her? Well, I don't know how old you are. You cannot change her. She is going to be who she is. So if you're an adult, get away. If you're a child, find a trusted adult that you can speak to, a counselor at school, a social worker, somebody or something, so that you have another set of eyes on the situation. I don't know how old you are. I can't tell you. So remember, abusers love to project. You're doing this, you're doing that. You guns. They love the you. So every time you hear somebody doing that, they're talking about themselves. They are talking about themselves. So if you're an adult, get away. And go no contact. If you're a child, find a trusted adult and start talking to a school counselor. That would be my best suggestion. I've struggled for 2 years now with the impulse to check my abuser's social media. It's a major hindrance to my progress. Okay, so that is a common issue with survivors of abuse, is wanting to check up on the social media, wanting to hear what's going on, wanting to see them, wanting to, what are they doing? Are they seeing somebody else? All you're doing is delaying your healing. So really, what is the end purpose? What's the end game? What are you getting out of this? All it does is make you feel like doo-doo. Stop it. Instead, go grab the self-esteem workbook and start working it. That's what you need to be doing. So in other words, your brain is trying to stimulate the dopamines, endorphins, serotonins, everything that we get when we're with an abuser because of the intermittent positive rewards. So yeah, you've got to start working on you instead. You are the priority. It's no longer about them. And you have to remind your brain, you're going to have to be brutal about it. Hey, brain, it is no longer about my abuser. It is no longer about them. I don't want to see their social media. I know you do, but I don't. So let's go work on self-esteem with Glenn Schiraldi, the self-esteem workbook instead. So yeah. All right. What if your kids ask you why you won't hang out with your past friends? You just be honest. I've outgrown them. I've realized that they're not in my best interest, and I am choosing to have healthy people around me. I don't know why our society has made it so difficult to talk to our kids. It shouldn't be. We should be able to have an open, honest communication with our children. Now, something that abusers do is they over-communicate with their kids. In other words, they're telling them those details about the divorce and details about the marriage and, your mother did that, your father did this, blah, 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 and so that's not healthy. But if your kids ask you a direct question, give them a direct answer. They're not stupid. They're asking for a reason. You tell them and then, just curious, why did you want to know what's going on? So that's a good way to open that up. But yeah, you tell them the truth. I'm not hanging out with my past friends because they're not good for me. I've grown past them and I need healthier people in my life. So there that is. Okay, I'm being guilt-tripped for cutting contact with my abusive elderly parent family. Oh, elderly parent. Family says I'm the abuser. Help. So flying monkeys. So remember last weekend I did the show on flying monkeys. So the family is flying monkeys. If the parents are abusive, if you were not related to them, would you have anything to do with them? If the answer is no, then act accordingly. And as far as the rest of the family is concerned, they're going to say and do whatever they're going to say and do. You can't control that. So you just do you. And if it means going no contact, you stay no contact. Now, here's something to remember. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again until everybody gets it. Anybody that tries to inflict fear, obligation, or guilt is a toxic relationship. They're toxic for you. So thank you for your opinion. Shut the fuck up. I'm going to stay no contact. Goodbye. And you do you. And cut them off as well because they're showing you who they are. So there that is. My husband's mother, I don't want to send her a graduation invite for my son this spring. She will ruin it. No invite. What are your thoughts? My husband agrees now too. Well, if the two of you are on the same page, then that's fine. My abuser left me for another woman. We have 5 kids together and have been with each other for 12 plus years. Why do I want him back? Addiction, fear, what is this feeling? So again, we miss the intermittent positive rewards. We don't miss the abuse. We miss the intermittent positive rewards. And that, unfortunately, it's that trauma bonding. So we miss the person we trauma bonded with. That is totally normal in leaving an abusive relationship. So it is an addiction. We are addicted to those intermittent positive rewards. So it's really important for you to get with a good trauma therapist to cement, no, I don't need them. No, I don't need to go back. It'll just be worse, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So having those feelings is normal. And it's really important to put that down because that's what's going to cause you to go back to them. And you don't want that. Trust me, when you go back to an abuser, the abuse is worse than it was before. And the time period between the love bombing and the abuse gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And the abuse gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So I'm sorry, I can't quite figure out the lighting on this. It's my little light over here. So it's probably because I've got light coming in from behind me. Oh, well. So anyway, where was I? All right. So yeah, you want him back because of the intermittent positive rewards and the trauma bonding that happens. So get with a good trauma therapist. You need to work through this. Start reading CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Start reading The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. Start getting your boundaries together. Start reading the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Really important. Okay, I have an abusive dad, passive mom, younger sister, golden child, mini version of dad, and me, the scapegoat. My sister is swearing badly towards me. I talk to my mother and she makes excuses for my sister. How do I stop feeling so alone and suicidal? Again, I don't know what your age is. I don't know if you're an adult. I don't know if you're a kid. If you are a kid, find a trusted adult that you can speak to. Get with some counselor, or some social worker somewhere and start talking. Absolutely. If you're an adult, get out, stay out, go no contact. You don't need to be abused. If you're a kid and you're trapped in that house, you need to find somebody you can talk to, a safe person you can talk to, somebody that can be, I need to figure this out. Hang on. Oh my goodness, maybe that'll be better. There we go. Somebody that will be good to talk to. So like a school counselor or a social worker or a trusted adult or somebody. Absolutely. Question. I didn't know, I know it wasn't all me, but the abuser today tells everyone it's my fault, that he left the relationship, but doesn't want to take responsibility. How do I get past this and move on? This is a classic textbook way that abusers behave. Every single abuser, when they leave, goes on a smear campaign and will tell anyone who will listen the most horrible untruths about you that they can, because they have to be the good guy or the good girl. Okay. And this is just what they do. So you write and burn a letter. Dear ex, fuck the fuckity fuck out of fucking fuck you lying piece of shit asshole. And then you write it all out at the very end. You don't get to live in my head rent free one more second. Fuck you, go to hell, whatever. Trot it out to the barbecue, read it out loud once, burn it. The other thing of it is too is people who are your people will not believe the worst of you. People who are flying monkeys will. And if they're running back and going, well, he's saying this, that, and the other thing, you really got to ask yourself, why are they doing this? If you guys are broken up and there's nothing, and why are you allowing it to affect you? Because honestly, it doesn't matter what he says. Actions speak louder than words, and the truth always comes out in the end. May not come out fast enough for most of us, but it always comes out in the end. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they think. If they are thinking and believing the worst of you, they are not your people. Get rid of them. They're flying monkeys. Make them go bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I've outgrown you. Bye-bye. So yeah, and it's partially, it's that inner child. Well, it's not fair. Well, no, it's not fair. It isn't. Life is not fair, unfortunately. It reminds me of Lord of the Rings. Sometimes those who deserve to live die, and sometimes those who deserve to die live. I'm paraphrasing, but it's not fair. It isn't fair. So that's why you write and burn, and you really get it in your head. What other people think of us is none of our goddamn business. It really isn't. We can't control them. Can't stop them. They're going to think whatever they're going to think. But the ones who are willing to believe the worst of you are flying monkeys. Get rid of them. How to self-soothe after email triggers. I co-parent, and the only way I respond is emails, and I gray rock, but his emails still hurt. Well, of course they do. You have got feelings, and he knows that, and he's trying his damnedest to hurt you. So part of what is really a good thing to get into the habit of doing is recognizing he's trying to hurt you, and instead of taking it personally, realize he's desperate for attention. I would start laughing at them, to be perfectly honest. Not, laughing at them like, LOL in an email, but like laughing when you realize, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. He's trying to hurt me again, or she's trying to hurt me again, one of the two. And what you want to do is you want to get to the point where it's like, realize that every rotten thing they are saying is really about them desperate for attention, desperate for narcissistic supply. Because remember, they need narcissistic supply, and it does not matter whether that narcissistic supply is positive or negative. They don't care. They just want narcissistic supply. So if you respond with anything other than gray rock and straight to the point. So remember, when you're co-parenting with an abuser, and they're sending 14 pages of you're a horrible person and this, that, and the other thing, you literally have to scan through all 14 pages and find that one sentence that's about the kids and only respond to that. And you let the rest of it go. You can't control them. They're going to do what they're going to do. And in fact, the more you respond to their hurtful, nasty stuff, the worse they're going to get. Good. You know why? Because eventually you're going to go back to court, or you're going to get a restraining order and show that this person is harassing, calling names, threatening, etc., etc., etc. So really, they're desperate for attention. That's why they do it. They want narcissistic supply. And remember, they need a triangle. So they need to be the hero. Their new supply is the victim, and you're the villain. They need a villain. And if you give them no villain, it pisses them off, because now that dynamic's got to change. So yeah, so just save every single email. Save them, because you're going to need them at some point. So yeah, and this is totally normal. So how do you self-soothe? You recognize that it's a game for them. You recognize that this is not personal. They will do this to whoever their ex is. And when they eventually leave the newest supply, they'll do it to them too if there's kids involved. So yeah, it's not personal. It feels personal. It does. It absolutely feels personal, but it is not. They are talking about themselves, and they are pushing whatever buttons. They're poking the bear in whatever way they can to get the bear to growl, so they can turn around and go, oh, see, they're the problem. They're the abuser, blah, blah, blah. And you don't want to do that. You want to keep doing the gray rock, keep doing the only answering that one little, sentence about the kids, ignoring the rest, saving all your emails, getting your documentation together, and if it continues, either filing for a revisit to the custodial stuff or filing for a order of protection. So yeah, absolutely. So the way you soothe yourself, it's not personal. It's not you. It's them. Healthy, normal people do not seek to harm others. And those who do, trolls, for example, are all disordered. Every single last motherfucking one of them. They are either, mostly narcissists or malignant borderlines. One of the two. Or both. You can have both. So yeah, they are disordered. Healthy, normal people do not seek to harm another. Why? Because we recognize that we are all one. We recognize that we've got one planet and we're all here together in it. And we recognize that our higher power is all the same, and that to insult someone else is to insult ourselves or to insult God, because God is in all of us, really, when you think about it. But narcissists think they're God. And so, but they also hate themselves. It's like Smeagol. See, I'm on this whole Lord of the Rings thing because I've been reading it. So it's like Smeagol. Smeagol simultaneously loves and hates himself. Classic narcissism. I don't know if J.R.R. Tolkien even knew what he was writing when he wrote that, but that is classic narcissism. They love and hate themselves simultaneously. And they lash out and project all of their venom all over everybody. And they're talking about themselves. So, so the way you soothe yourself is to remember, it's not about you. You're not the problem. They are. Healthy, normal people do not seek to harm other people. Healthy, normal people are not into revenge. Healthy, normal people do not seek ego. Healthy, normal people do not seek to soothe their ego by hurting and putting down somebody else. But disordered people do. So remind yourself, this person is disordered. It's not personal. It's them. Yeah, it feels personal, you betcha. But my job here is to find that one sentence that pertains to the kids and ignore the rest. And soothe yourself. It's like, you're a good person. You are. And remember, narcissists are desperate to put out the light of their target. They want us dead emotionally. They want us dead physically. They want us dead spiritually. They do. They want us dead because we have what they will never possess, and that is empathy. They will never feel love or kindness towards another living thing because they don't have love or kindness towards themselves or anyone else. They just don't feel it. They don't, because people with a conscience don't seek to hurt other people. So, all right. Unrelated topic, but any advice? Okay, sorry. This is totally off topic. I'm not even going to talk about it. So, all right. So, there is that, guys. So, the next show is going to be on taming the inner critic because, we're coming into the holiday season, like I said this last video, Hoover season, family weirdness, And it's really important to get that inner critic completely nailed down shut so that you don't even have any qualms about who you are, because it wants us to self-doubt. So, all right, guys, I have gone way long on this. Have a great day. I will talk to you Sunday. It will be on taming the inner critic. All right, talk to you later. Bye.